remember one night, Emma, my daughter, was at the end of our bed, looking terrified and wide-eyed. And she was shouting, "Get them out! Get them out now! You've got to get them out!" And David woke up and said, "Emma, what's wrong? What's the matter? What have we got to do?" She said, "It's the Eves. I can't breathe. They're making me not breathe properly. You've got to get them out." And then we realised we were in for a long night, very distressed, sleepless night, which became a kind of regular occurrence back then. But, you know, when you have children, when you hold that baby in your arms, all you want for them is for their happiness. You just want them to grow up healthy, part of the world, follow the normal pathways in life like friendships, work, careers, hobbies, children, marriage, love, all those things you want for them. But that was not to be for Emma. Not my baby. Emma was a quiet child who grew into a troubled teenager, who then grew into a very fractured adult. It was 8 years before she was diagnosed with psychosis. 8 years. We couldn't work out the odd behaviour. Nobody else could. Nobody picked it up. So, when a GP eventually diagnosed her with having psychosis, it was a complete and utter relief for me. Can't tell you. It sounds strange, but I was relieved. I didn't know much about psychosis then, but I just thought, this is it. We'll have some help. She'll get better. People can help her. And yes, help was on hand. It was suddenly like the cavalry had arrived over the hill, all guns blazing, in the form of the EIP team, which is the Early Intervention Psychosis team. And yes, they offered a lot of help. One thing that was really useful was family therapy sessions, guided through by a brilliant psychiatrist. As treatment progressed for Emma with the EIP team, they constantly reminded me that I could phone the crisis team at any point if things got a bit difficult with Emma at home. And I remember it was Easter bank holiday, and Emma had been particularly agitated, violent, and very disturbed for a few weeks, and I think that was because it was very difficult to get her to take the medication that she was on. And this particular bank holiday, I remember on Good Friday, not that there was anything good about this Friday, believe me, I was walking into the kitchen and there Emma was sitting, and I just said to her, "Do you want a cup of tea?" And then all of a sudden she just flew at me, arms flailing all around the place. She just attacked me, and she was screaming at me. And I was screaming. I fell to the floor, and oh God, it was awful. And thank God David was there to intervene, because I don't know what would have happened otherwise. She just lost it. And so had I. I'd had enough. I was bruised all over from attacks from Emma. And I just thought, this is it, I'm going to phone the crisis team. I have to. So I picked up the phone, and obviously I was really distressed, and I spoke to the receptionist, and she listened to the story, but she said, "You do know it's bank holiday weekend, don't you? We don't have any staff. We're very stretched, you know. You're going to have to wait until the EIP team are back in work on Tuesday. Oh, my heart sank. I just felt really, really shocked, for one thing. I'm in crisis, I thought. I thought you were a crisis team. And just despair about what lay ahead. But David and I managed to get through that evening. We were very tense and distressed. And the next day, we'd planned to go to see my other daughter. We're going to have lunch at her house. So we took Emma, and it was a nightmare. She was very agitated. She poured shampoo down the sinks and washing up liquid, anything she could get her hands on. It was chaos. And we took her out for a walk, and she wouldn't settle with that. She was jumping in the road, and eventually we just had to take her home. And I thought, well, I'll phone them again. I must get some help. So I phoned, and I spoke to the same woman on the reception, and she said, I've told you, I'm sorry. We don't have any staff. You're going to have to wait till Tuesday. I can't explain my feeling. I just felt so angry. So angry. I wanted to shout from the rooftops how angry I felt. I wanted to shout. Do you know what this feels like? Do you know what it feels like to see your own daughter in so much pain? Look at the bruises. Do I have to put up with this? But I didn't. I didn't find that voice. And so we just had to get through the weekend as best we could. We hid all the knives and the keys, car keys, and we just battened down the hatches and survived. And eventually Tuesday arrived, and yes, the EIP team were there, and they were helpful, and they came to our rescue, thank God. I'll never forget that weekend. And 4 months later, Emma was sectioned, and that's probably one of the worst days of my life. Eventually, treatment with the EIP team came to an end because you're only allowed 3 years. 3 years. And that's all. And then the service changes everything for you. So, where are we up to now? Well, Emma is a bit calmer. She's not cured. She's calmer because she's taking a depot every month. But the side effects are awful. Apart from being obese, which she can't stand, she's in pain. She has painful legs. She has gut problems. She feels generally unwell. And she's very depressed. And she often tells me she wants to die. I can't explain how painful that is. You watch her struggle every day, hour by hour, wondering who she was and who she's become and who she's going to be. But when you have children, you find a place in your heart you never really knew existed. And so I fight for Emma's future now. I will die, David will die, and what will become of Emma? And so I fight. I fight for my voice to be heard, and I fight to get a service that is based on respect for people, continuity of care, trust, good relationships, everything that everybody really wants in their lives. I want everybody who has a mental health illness to be seen as a whole person. And so I have found my voice. History will judge us on the differences we make day by day to the vulnerable people in our society. And I want to be a part of making those differences.